Welcome back to Winners and Losers, the show that looks at the highs and the lows from around world football. This weekend, my old mucker, Patrick Van Straten, is back in the hot seat. Pato, where are we starting today?
We actually start in Paris. PSG face Montpellier at home this weekend. Now, they'd only lost one of their last 14 league games against Montpellier, and true to form, they beat them 2-0 again. This was typical PSG domination. 70% possession. They had 9 shots on target to Montpellier's 4. Edinson Cavani scored.
He's now stopped scoring.
He scored against all 27 Ligue 1 teams that he's faced now. He's got 44 goals in 44 games in all competitions this season.
That's missing.
Guess who's the only person who's got more than that?
Lionel
Messi, who hit his 46th and 47th against Real Madrid last night. Cavani's got 31 in the league. By comparison, Lacazette is next best with just 24, and he's probably going to go this summer for more than 60 million euros. How much does that make Cavani worth? What a season he's had.
He has had a mental season. Another PSG player that's had a mental season is Di Maria, particularly in 2017. Obviously got an assist for Cavani's goal at the weekend, and he's now been involved in 17 goals in 18 games in all competitions for PSG this season. That is a mental stat, given that at the start of the season we kind of thought he had not gone off very well. Briefly, PSG went to the top of the table, hence why they were in our winners. But last night, Monaco came back with a bang. Kylian Mbappe scoring yet again to lift themselves on top of the table. PSG's next fixture is against Monaco in the Coupe de France. They really have to win that semi-final, because if they don't win the league, they don't win the semi-final of the Coupe de France, and they're already out of the Champions League, this season has been an utter failure for Unai Emery, especially as Leo Jardim still has the chance of winning the treble. But PSG fans, would you sack Emery in the summer, or would you give him some more time? You can vote in the poll above my head right now.
Our first loser of the weekend, Manchester City, after they went out of the FA Cup. Joe, tell me about it.
I was absolutely delighted. Pep Guardiola, very unhappy. But I want to talk a little bit about Arsenal, because it was a very, very good day for the Gunners. Wenger and Alexis Sanchez as well. Arsenal reaching their 20th FA Cup final in the process in that 2-1 win after extra time. A really, really good game. And Alexis Sanchez in the process became Arsenal's top ever goal scorer at Wembley. He's now got 4 in 4 under the arch. And he's also been involved in more goals in all competitions than any other Premier League player this season. He's got 24 goals, 14 assists. Wow, that is quite frankly ridiculous. The Gunners just simply can't lose them. But it's the defence that have been really, really good over the past few weeks, particularly since they've moved to that 3 at the back system. Koscielny saying after the game yesterday they feel far stronger, far more confident in that role. And 2 other players in that back 3, other than Koscielny, really stepped up their game against City. Rob Holding, 56 touches, 8 clearances, 6 recoveries, 2 tackles and 4 interceptions. Fantastic performance from the young ex-Bolton player. And the other side of him, Gabriel, possibly his first good game in an Arsenal shirt. He was magnificent at the back, 42 touches, 7 clearances, 3 tackles, 3 interceptions, 2 aerial duels won. What a performance from the Arsenal back line, but Pep will be stewing, Pato.
Yeah, well, Man City had actually got a good reputation in the FA Cup going into this game. They hadn't lost an FA Cup semi-final since 1932, which was also against Arsenal. Now, this was actually the first time at Man City that Guardiola named an unchanged 11. The first time, and it's been 50 games, so he likes to chop and change. We've kind of seen 2 systems run out. There's the one where he plays with about 6 forwards, and it's incredibly aggressive and attacking and very open at the back. And then there's the other one, which is a little bit more boring, which is what we saw yesterday. It was a conventional 4 at the back, but my God, Gaël Clichy could not handle Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain in that game. And he marked Leroy Sané out of the game. This is now Pep Guardiola's first trophyless season since he became a manager. Bearing in mind, up until this season, he'd won 7 titles in the 9 seasons he'd been a manager. Unbelievable. Sergio Aguero, though, in good form. He got a 12th goal in 12 games here. An incredible chip over Petr Cech.
Lovely finish.
Took a heavy touch. Petr came out, stopped, came again, and it was just easy for Aguero at that point. But David Silva went off injured. Sergio Aguero took a knock and went off as well. Fernandinho injured. There are now doubts for the Manchester derby. Man City versus Man United next Thursday. City are on 64 points. United are on 63 points. It's Pep versus Mourinho. Very exciting times. But the ship seems to be wobbling a little bit for Pep Guardiola.
Our next winners are a bit of a surprise package, and it's one man in particular. It's Marco Silva, Pato.
Yeah, well, he had his doubters when he took over at Hull earlier this season, but he seems to have done as good a job as anyone could have with that broken squad. Hull won 2-0 at home against Watford at the KCOM Stadium. Now, this wasn't a typical home performance. They only had 34% of the possession in their own stadium. 8 shots to Watford's 14, and they completed fewer than half the number of passes that Watford did. That was 206. And they went down to 10 men. Oumar Niasse went off in the 25th minute, very, very early. It was a tackle. It was not really a red card.
Yeah, a bit rough.
Well, Joe Tomlinson knows his red card challenges, and he says that it was a little bit tough. So
I think it was a yellow.
There you go. But anyway, Watford have now seen a man sent off in 3 of their last 10 Premier League games, and Hull have received 3 red cards in their last 10 Premier League games. So it was kind of destined to happen, this one. Markovic scored in this game. Klukas scored in this game. They had 6 of the 8 shots that Hull had, so they really produced something when they needed it.
Markovic in a big way.
It's a nightmare for Hull with that squad. You know, they brought in Grosicki, they brought in Markovic, and they really hoped that they could get something out of it. Because at the beginning of the season, Mikey Phelan, their attack was in the ground, their defence was in the ground. They were a nightmare. But Klukas also covered 11.73 kilometres in the centre of the park. That's a lot of distance, and put in 5 tackles. So it's no wonder he won man of the match. What a performance.
Yeah, I mean, Marco Silva will be delighted, and so will the Hull fans. I mean, since Silva's arrival, obviously he got berated when he first came in, but since his arrival, only Everton and Tottenham Hotspur, both taking 21 points, have managed more points at home than Hull City in the Premier League under Marco Silva. They've taken 19, so they'd be 3rd in the Premier League if it was just based on home games. Absolutely ridiculous. In fact, Marco Silva loves home matches. He hasn't lost in his last 41 games at home in the league. That's both at Estoril. I think his last loss, in fact, was for Estoril against Rio Avery. He's got 34 wins, 7 draws, no losses. That is a madness. Hull at home under Marco Silva this season. 6 wins, 1 drawn, no loss. But again, what does he know about the Premier League? Honestly, give it to a young British manager, for goodness sake. Miracle worker. It's no wonder Marco Silva is linked to the likes of Inter Milan, maybe even Atletico Madrid if Diego Simeone were to leave. It's ridiculous. They're now in 17th, just above the relegation places on 33 points and 3 points behind Burnley, who sit in 16th. I'm really excited for Hull. I really want Marco Silva to stay up. I don't know why, but prove them all wrong, Marco.
Liverpool up next, who had a horrible result at home this weekend.
Oh, not for the first time. Oh, I'm absolutely delighted. What a weekend to be a United fan. City play 120 minutes, lose 3 key players, and Liverpool lose in the league at home to Crystal Palace. The story of their season. They haven't lost to a top 6 team this year, but they have lost to Burnley, Bournemouth, Swansea, Hull, Leicester and Palace. That is appalling from Jurgen Klopp's side. Liverpool, as they are expected to, dominated the game. 72% possession, 75% pass accuracy versus a 66% pass accuracy. 14 shots versus 10 shots, but they just were not clinical on the day. Of those 14 shots, only 1 was on target, and that was Felipe Coutinho's brilliant free kick, whereas Palace managed 3 on target. Quite maddening, I'm sure, if you were in the Kop on the day. It's actually the first time, though, that Liverpool have lost when they were ahead at Anfield since 2015. So Paladise working miracles yet again. And it's the corners that Liverpool concede from, as usual, under Jurgen Klopp. They've actually shipped 16 goals under Jurgen Klopp from corners. Only Swansea and Watford have conceded more in the Premier League in the same amount of time. Really infuriating. But Palace, what a performance.
Well, yeah, they've now beaten Arsenal, Chelsea and Liverpool in a row. Really impressive stuff. But, Sam Allardyce has 7 league wins just in 2017. That's 1 more than Alan Pardew managed in the entire of 2016 when they were absolutely disgusting. And Christian Benteke, what a man. 5 duels, 5 shots, 2 take-ons, completed 2 dribbles. Benteke, 95% pass accuracy and 2 goals. Benteke, for Liverpool, got 4 goals in 13 games. Against Liverpool, 5 goals in 3 games. They should have kept him at the club just so he couldn't score against them. It's a nightmare. He's now scored against Chelsea, against Saints, against Liverpool this season. So he's doing it in the big matches. And Liverpool are now just 3 points above Man United, who have 2 games in hand. Liverpool are in trouble. They need to pull up out of this nosedive soon, or they're going to be looking up at the Champions League places.
Winner time, Borussia Dortmund, Pato. Happy bunch of players.
Yes, Borussia Dortmund beat Mönchengladbach 3-2 away from home. It's actually the 4th time in a row that they've won against Mönchengladbach. They've scored at least 3 goals in all of those 4 games. They just keep putting it in the back of the net. Christian Pulisic, the young American who we've been talking about a lot over the last few weeks, 18 years, 216 days old. He's now made 50 appearances for BVB in all competitions. At that level, that's truly impressive. Marco Reus scored the first goal for Dortmund. He's now been directly involved in 10 goals. That's 5 goals, 5 assists in 8 Bundesliga games against Gladbach. They do not like the look of him. And since coming back from injury, Reus has scored in all 3 competitive games, which is his best streak since the autumn of 2015. Unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, so frustrating if you're Marco Reus though, with all of those injuries throughout your career. And he has potentially been overtaken by another superstar in that Borussia Dortmund team. Yes, it's Ousmane Dembele. We talk about him every week, and he got yet another assist for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. It's actually the 9th time they've combined with Dembele getting the assist this season. That is ridiculous, honestly. When Aubameyang made it 2-2, it was actually Dortmund's 100th competitive goal this season, which is quite impressive given that they're slightly further down the table than they would expect to be under Thomas Tuchel at this stage. The third was scored by Rafa Guerreiro. What a young talent he is as well. And it was set up by Gonzalo Castro. Now, there's an interesting stat about Castro because he kind of slips under the radar. But since Opta started collecting their data, only 3 players in the Bundesliga's history have got 5 assists in 8 consecutive Bundesliga seasons. One's Ribery, one's Müller, the other is Gonzalo Castro. You have to take your hat off to him because
he's great.
He never really gets a mention either when you're talking about Borussia Dortmund. And they dominated this match as well. 12 shots to 7, 55% possession, double München's key passes, 7 dribbles to München's 1 dribble. However, for the first time since joining Mönchengladbach all the way back in 2015, Stindl has scored in 3 consecutive Bundesliga games. Not that it mattered in this one. Borussia Dortmund now leapfrog up to 3rd place, I believe, in the Bundesliga. Looks like they're going to get Champions League football. Thomas Tuchel scraping the barrel, some would say, but a win's a win.
Our final loser of the week, Inter Milan. They went down 5-4 against Fiorentina, 5-4.
What on earth is going on there? Obviously, they drew 2-2 against AC Milan last weekend as well, shipping a last-minute equaliser. And this week, got pummeled by Fiorentina, really, and lost 5-4, like you said, Pato. This was a swinging pendulum of a game. Fiorentina went 1-0 up, then Inter went 2-1 up, then Fiorentina went 5-2 up before Inter managed to scramble it back to 5-4, but couldn't quite pull it back to the draw. It was actually quite a close game. 53% possession, 47% possession, 13 shots, placed 10 shots, 9 shots on target, placed 6 shots on target. But Inter are in a really, really bad run now. They haven't won in 5 games since they beat Atalanta 7-1, of course. 3 losses, 2 draws in that time. Not what you're expecting from a club that is meant to be on the rise, Pato.
Well, yeah, it was a really weird game as well. I mean, it's the first Serie A game in 3 years to feature 9 goals. And bittersweet for Mauro Icardi, who got a hat-trick, but still ended up on the losing side. He's actually the first Inter player since Vieri in 2001 to score a hat-trick away from home. They don't like it there, but he's now got 24 in Serie A. That makes this his best league campaign ever, regardless of what happens for the rest of the season. He's getting a goal every 117 minutes. Really impressive. And I want to also talk about Matthias Vecino. 2 goals, 1 assist, 89% pass accuracy, and 3 successful tackles.
Man of the match.
What a man. He deserved to be on the winning side in this game. But Inter, sort it out, because you have got some tough fixtures coming up soon. You've got Napoli next week. Rough times.
It's time for some shout-outs now, and you guys have been sending in your suggestions all weekend on Twitter to me and Patrick. If you want to be involved next week, hit us up on these handles. I'm out of breath. What's going on? The first one comes from FFF. He says, Feyenoord for winning against Vitesse and getting closer to their first Eredivisie title in 18 years. Scraping there ever so slowly. Ajax, of course, losing at the weekend as well. Second comes from Vincent Mertens. Dries Mertens' cousin, are you? I don't know, let us know in the comments. Finally, he wants us to include Werder Bremen. 10 games unbeaten now for Werder. They went from relegation candidates to 1 point off the Europa League spots this week. Incredible stuff from Werder. And Owen, wrapping us up with Lionel Messi carrying Barcelona to an El Clasico win, which Pato is going to be talking all about on Euro Football Daily's Euro Roundup with Christopher Hamill this afternoon, Pato.
I've got some loser shout-outs. Yeah, I've got Anthony Johnson who says, loser, Joey Barton.
Yes.
Why? Well, because he's Joey Barton. Bit harsh, but fair enough. Tony Haralovic who says, losers, Everton for drawing with West Ham. I believe they had 4 shots in that game.
Ooh.
4 shots. Towels on deck chairs already, boys. Come on, put some effort in. Nathan Swift, who said Leyton Orient. This is probably the worst of them all. Leyton Orient have been relegated from the Football League after 112 years. Their first time out of the top leagues. Unbelievable stuff.
So that's all we've got time for on today's winners and losers. But before you do anything else, make sure you check out Euro Roundup, where you can catch...
Well, you could catch some El Clasico action, some analysis of the Chelsea-Spurs game as well, and a few more highs and lows from around Europe.
And as ever, guys, please do like and subscribe.
Catch you next time.